Aura makes no sense. Aura has been a confusing element in RWBY since it was first introduced, and has only evolved and become more complicated as the show goes on. I, a hardcore fan who reads the wiki and listens to all the DVD commentaries, still struggle to fully comprehend all the mechanics of Aura. Casual viewers don't stand a chance. They'll likely be confused on the logistics of Aura and drop the show since it's impossible to follow how the rules work. Aura is important and yet barely gets explained to us. How it works and what it can do seems to change every other volume to the point that the show no longer has rules to follow. So I want to go over Aura, what it does, how it works, and how the writers have overcomplicated it. Aura was originally introduced in Volume 1, Episode 6, The Emerald Forest. Pyrrha explains to Jean and the audience that Aura exists in everything with a soul. It's a force field. So Monty has mentioned that he made Aura so he could have the characters be able to wail on each other in a fight. How are these kids able to survive bear attacks and gunshots? Aura. We see it take on the visage of a health bar on the kids' scrolls. All Aura has to do is protect the characters until it gets into the red. A World of Remnant that was only available on the Volume 2 DVD states that Aura is a passive force field that protects the user from attacks that would otherwise be fatal, but that it can also run out. They use a lot of different words to describe Aura. Force field, barrier, shield, but the health bar is the most accurate way of looking at it. The kids can get pummeled but don't suffer any wounds because of their aura. Once the aura health bar gets too low, now they can really get hurt. Volume 3 introduced what I call breaking aura. It's where you see a shimmer go across a character as their aura becomes depleted. I'm not sure where I picked up the breaking verbiage, I think maybe the director's commentary. Whatever you choose to call it, this shimmer is a new visual cue for when a character's aura is no longer up. Their HP bar has gone into the red and they cannot survive gunshots until they rest. This is where they first fucked up. When there was no visual beyond looking at a health bar, then you could play fast and loose with a character's aura, conveniently deciding when that it's depleted enough for real damage to happen when you need it. But now the audience has to know about it too. I guess Yang was in no danger here. We didn't see her aura break. Even though Jean's scroll says he's in the red, his aura hasn't broken, so what's the deal? Doing this muddies previous volumes, as they weren't working on the same system of rules. At the time, we saw Jean's health bar and knew he was in danger, but once aura breaking got introduced, if we watch this scene, he seems fine. His aura must be low, but not out, since we didn't see a shimmer. Now, I know that that's overthinking a scene. The directors and writers hadn't intended aura breaking to be a thing when they originally made it, so I can't expect to twist the narrative to fit these new rules. Except, yes, I should. Changing your world willy-nilly 3 years into a show's production is ridiculous. It's no wonder fans get confused when the show is so inconsistent with things like this. What was once acceptable now no longer follows the rules and so makes no sense. It's clear that aura breaking was only conceived during the production of Volume 3, and its inclusion causes the whole of the product to suffer from inconsistency. But it's not just previous volumes that suffer. They're even inconsistent with this during Volume 3. In episodes 1, 2, 4, and 5, we see characters get below the breaking point, but we don't see them shimmer. It was introduced when Yang fought Mercury, but why was it excluded up until then? It could have been explained to us by Port Nublik like the rest of the tournament rules. Why was it brought up so late? It seems to happen when the HP bar hits 0, but I'm really still not sure. Is it when you have 15 HP or 0 HP? I don't know. They don't explain it. And if it is when a character bottoms out, are you really trying to say this, and this didn't bring it to 0? We even see Weiss get to 0, but we don't get to see if she shimmers or not. Why introduce such an important mechanic so late into the volume? The only reason I can think of is they hadn't thought of it until then. They needed the audience to understand that Amber was out of aura when she got attacked, thought of a way to show that, and introduced it in the episode before the one they needed it in. A mid-volume addition to the show that retcons everything that came before it. Not to mention how unnecessary it is. Like, we already had the health bar thing. Why add another visual for when a character's aura depletes? It's also introduced and explained poorly. I have a friend who thought Mercury's aura breaking was just Yang's punch making a shockwave through him. They don't really explain when it happens, how it can happen, or what it means. The audience is sorta just left to figure it out ourselves. And we did, but having the writers and directors explain it all to us in the DVD commentaries definitely helped. Though I would argue that something this important should have been made clear in the show. You can't rely on every viewer getting the DVD so you can explain how your new mechanic works. Well, now aura breaking has been introduced. Okay, we learned that it happens when a character's health bar gets too low, and that when it happens, that's when a character becomes susceptible to damage. If you shimmer, you can really get hurt now. It's also made clear that when it happens, the person whose aura broke becomes tired and can struggle to move. Breaking aura is treated like a win state for combat. If a character's aura breaks, then the other party has pretty much won the fight. This quickly stops being the case. Where Monty included aura to allow fights to be as bombastic as they could, Miles and Carrie seem to see aura as an element that gets in the way of tension. Starting in Volume 4, characters' aura breaks way more frequently. It feels like RT sees aura as something that needs to be gotten rid of as quickly as possible so the characters can be in real danger. As long as a character has aura, they can't really get hurt, so have it break nice and quick so now the audience has to worry about the character's safety. Rather than being used to signify the end of a fight, aura shimmers appear in the middle of a fight, so that there's suddenly stakes to worry about. It seems that the writers think of it like this. No one's going to worry about Ruby's safety since her aura hasn't broken, so have it break so people will stay invested. Where once aura breaking accompanied heavy blows and left the attacked character winded, now it's no more than an inconvenience. Owie, I got kicked. Oh well, better keep fighting. Funnily enough, this actually robs fights of tension. Once a character's aura breaks, I know they won't get hit anymore. They'll dodge everything and that's boring. Trading blows is exciting. Deflecting attacks is exciting. Suddenly becoming untouchable is boring. If a character gets stabbed, it's never a surprise. One, because a character's aura needs to break first, tipping off to the audience that they might get hurt later. And two, because the writers do every dramatic level of harm so slowly and predictably that it's boring. Slowly look at Weiss. Say you're gonna stab her. Slowly walk to Weiss. Bring up weapon. Stab her. Yeah, you're really getting my heart racing with that. Not to mention that by Volume 5 it happened so frequently I stopped paying attention to it. Slow, weak attacks break characters' aura, making it feel like just damage dressing. Having it happen in every encounter makes it no longer mean anything. At this point I can't help but wonder why they ever introduced it in the first place, if all they're gonna do is deplete their character's aura as quickly as possible. If there's no visual cue for a depleted aura, then the loosey-goosey nature of aura wouldn't be so immersion-breaking. Most egregiously, Volume 5 muddies the water by creating new rules for aura. In Episode 4, Lighting the Fire, Ozpin tells us that one must activate their aura in order to be protected. Oscar failed to do so and so suffered an actual blow. This directly goes against what they've already set up. And then Volume 2 DVD exclusive World of Remnant, the one explicitly about aura, we're told aura is a passive force field. Now, doing this seems to be a way to backpedal and explain away some continuity errors that appeared with aura breaking. How can Ruby be fine crashing a train, but this punch knocks her out? Her aura wasn't activated. Why is Yang in trouble here if her aura hasn't broken? She can't turn it on. However, this completely destroys the continuity and brings up questions where there were none before. How can someone's scroll track their aura accurately if that person can just turn it on and off at will? If you lose a tournament fight by having your aura drop below 15, then why wouldn't the characters just turn off their aura once they get too low, especially if they're good at dodging attacks? If aura is something one must turn on, then why aren't Ruby and Blake ambushers? Ruby could just stay hidden from an enemy and snipe them while their aura's down. You know, the way you're supposed to use a sniper rifle. Blake could use her supposed ninja training to stay hidden and take out unsuspecting enemies who haven't activated their aura. You know, the way a ninja's supposed to fight. This isn't the only new addition Volume 5 added. Brent says it takes great concentration at first when it comes to turning on your aura, but Jean's aura got unlocked and he was a-okay. He never seems to struggle to keep it activated after Pyrrha unlocked it for him. So I guess that means Jean's an aura master even though he couldn't unlock it for himself? Sounds like the kind of thing they would write for him. More importantly, Ren also says that aura can heal you. What? This explains how the kids can get demolished like this and then be totally fine in a bit, but this also unfortunately continues to complicate things. Why wouldn't Jean hide away and heal? Why isn't healing used more or even at all during the tournament? Can you still heal after your aura breaks? If so, what happens if your aura breaks for a second time after you heal? Why didn't Blake just heal up from this stab wound? Does it heal up automatically or do you have to make your aura heal you? Can you train up your aura so you heal faster than you can take damage? It's like the writers want to be vague about how these mechanics work, but they've already given us too much information. Now we're just not being told all the rules, and RWBY suffers for that. I get that it's much easier to dodge around explanations for stuff like this, but if you want RWBY to be easy to follow at all, then you need to lay down the explanations we need and actually stick to them. Changing the rules every other volume only creates confusion and discontinuity. Work with the mechanics you've already got, rather than simply adding new ones for convenience. There's also some very major points of interest that comes up with all of this. First of all, Jean. Jean has a lot of aura, but that's never been portrayed before. His health bar is the exact same length as the others, his max aura number is 100 just like everyone else. What exactly does having a lot of it even mean? If he has so much, how come he went into the red after just a couple of hits from the Ursa, while Ren takes just as much damage from the King Taijutsu, but seems fine? Does that mean Jean can shield real well? Does that mean his aura heals him faster? Does it make it easier to turn on? Or is it just an excuse for him to be able to give away his aura when characters get too hurt? Nora makes a good point. Shouldn't he be afraid of running out? Can he break his own aura by giving away too much? Jean's a special snowflake because of his aura, but it's never been treated like anything out of the norm before. He's, if anything, actually been shown to be the weakest of the group, often being the first out of battle. A couple of chickens to the face and he's down, gets hit with some rocks and he needs to take a quick break. Where's all this aura they keep talking about? Did he not turn it on? Why? He's in the middle of combat. It seems to be a savant when it comes to aura. Similar to Jean, these mixed and matched rules have taken a toll on Yang. Yang gets stronger from damage, but does that mean she gets stronger from her aura taking damage, or if she actually gets hurt? Or both? Would Yang get a power boost if she accidentally cut herself on some glass when her aura wasn't activated? When aura was passive, this wasn't ever something to question, but now her semblance has too many holes in its logic. If she only gets stronger from her aura getting damaged, then she should never let it heal. Yang's aura should be on the skin of its teeth as much as possible, not healing between fights so she can keep her damage boost. If she only gets stronger from actual damage, then she should never have her aura up, otherwise she's wasting time not going full power. If it's both, then Yang's become OP and can just continuously cycle between aura taking damage, turning it off to heal it, taking normal damage, and turning her aura back on. Why does anyone block in this show? By blocking an attack, all you do is waste your aura. Everyone should just focus on dodging so your aura reserve can be used for attacks that manage to land a hit. Can you break your aura from a small attack? Like, you get punched in the face and you're fine, but then you trip and scrape your knee and now you break your aura? Aura breaking was the worst decision they've made for this mechanic. If they wanted it to work, I would have suggested aura breaking only happens when a character is struck with a critical hit. A move that depletes a lot of aura at a time, leaving the attacked character winded and auraless for a bit. Many small attacks could still deplete your aura, but wouldn't include a shimmer, meaning you could still fudge it when it came to combat on whether or not a character's aura is too low to protect them. This would allow for the bombastic action RWBY used to be known for, while also keeping fights exciting. If we don't know if a character's aura is too low or not, then we become more invested in the fight. Aura has been rewritten and overworked to the point that it has no rules to follow. It's a passive force field that you have to turn on, that heals you slowly, but if you take too much damage, it breaks and you become susceptible to harm. They try to have aura do everything, but manage to make it do nothing successfully. It no longer facilitates over-the-top fights, as aura breaks too often to allow the characters to unleash on each other. It doesn't add tension to the combat, as aura breaks so often it becomes too easy to ignore, and tips the audience off to impending fatal attacks at the same time. I feel like aura needs to be rewritten to fix all its glaring faults, but its rules change so often I almost feel another retcon would be more of a detriment. To suddenly change how aura works again right after Volume 5 added 3 new aspects to it would probably continue to confuse viewers. It's abundantly clear that the writers don't have any set rules for aura, and simply write it to fit whatever they need for any given moment. This results in inconsistent mechanics that feel impossible to follow. The RWBY crew needs to sit down and solidify how aura works, and stick to it. No more new rules down the line. It needs to be consistent so Remnant can start to feel like its mechanics have consequences. If they did this, it would facilitate an easier world to follow, and honestly would probably make the writing process easier too. Rather than coming up with new lore and shit for every volume, sticking to a hard set of rules would allow the writers to flesh out the world of RWBY in a way that makes sense. And most importantly, it would help alleviate all the confusion around the show and its mechanics. If RWBY's easier to understand, you're more likely to pull in new viewers, and I don't think anyone should have to study a main component of your show just to have a vague idea on how it works.